What's up, guys? More back with another video. I figured I would try something new. I figured I would try something different. I figured that I would try to do something a little bit more akin to like a fireside chat. If you guys end up happening to like it, that's awesome. You know, let me know by leaving a comment or, you know, thumbs up in the video or whatever. I've been trying to get to this video for literally 4 days. And I feel like if I don't just do it, if I try to get it exactly right, exactly perfect, I'm never going to do it. Obviously, you can tell by the title of this video that the topic that I'm going to be talking about is staying motivated or not. I think that as creative people, we tend to not always be very motivated. I think most creatives tend to be somewhat lazy. We're hardcore procrastinators. We're often uninspired, and we kind of put things off, especially if you work for yourself like I do. And when you work for yourself or you work from home, I think there are a lot of instances where you're just not really all that motivated to do anything. Without some sort of deadline, without some sort of pressure from a boss or some superior, if you have to rely on yourself to constantly motivate you, then there's a really good chance that you're going to find yourself in situations where you just don't want to do anything. And as it so happens, that comes about quite often with me, because not only do I have a YouTube channel, photography, but I also have home stuff to do. So when you're at home, you find yourself taking care of the little things around the house, whether you've got animals or whatever, and you find that having like a set schedule to just sit down and focus on the thing that you really want to do, even if you don't really feel inspired to do it, you feel pretty unmotivated. So with that being said, I first of all just want to tell you that it happens to all of us, and it probably happens to us more so than we would like to admit. And on occasion, I'm going to go browsing on the internet, and I'm going to try to find something or someone that says the right things, or, you know, tries to motivate me in some way, shape, or form. Because I sincerely believe that if you don't have it within yourself at times to motivate you or to give you a nice kick in the ass to get out there and get stuff done, you kind of have to look to somebody else. I look around, and I found a few things. So actually, I just want to focus on one thing. I found an article by a woman named Sarah West Irvin. I believe that's how you say her name. And I'll put the link to her article down in the description down below. And the title of the article is 9 Steps to Staying Motivated for Artists, Makers, Creative Freelancers. And Creative Freelancers. Okay, so, and she goes through a laundry list. 9 steps on how to stay motivated for creative people. Number 1, working with your strengths. Okay, so she says here that positive psychologists, blah, 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 have discovered that understanding and actively practicing your best character strengths improves your overall well-being and happiness. Essentially, they're saying that if you are really, really good at something, or if you feel that you're really, really good at something, you should do that a lot, because it will help you improve a person, I suppose. If you work with what you're good at, if you work with your strengths, sometimes that will work. I tend to agree, because if you are good at something, you already have a lot of self-confidence in that particular area, but I also think that maybe you should change it up some, you know? Work with your weaknesses and make yourself better in other areas so that you can be more versatile. I find, personally, that that's easier said than done. Number 2, seek intrinsic motivators. Now, this has been kind of a long-term concept. People have said, you know, you should motivate yourself by, you know, what are some things that you want? Like, do you want a new car? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want, you know, new pair of shoes or whatever? And then you dangle that out in front of yourself, and then you go and do whatever it takes to get it. You chase that goal. I've heard that in many motivational speaking situations. I just don't know that I agree with it 100%. And apparently neither did she. She says that external rewards and punishments, or carrots and sticks, are not only ineffective at motivating quality work, but also harmful. Science is revealing that carrots and sticks can promote bad behavior, create addiction, and encourage short-term thinking at the expense of the long view. And to a large extent, I can somehow see that position, and I see it quite often. That when you feel like you're just under pressure to achieve something, you know, you just sort of you're lazy right up until that point, and then you just go, oh my God, I've got to get this done. And then she says, you know, so what's the alternative? She says, harnessing your internal drivers of success, your intrinsic motivation to do this, suspend the idea for a moment that you are engaged in a creative pursuit to eventually earn gobs of money, fame, praise, and appreciation. Sure, it's great to strive for these, and you obviously need to garner enough success to support yourself, but the best way to create truly excellent work is to find intrinsic motivators. Number one, she says, infuse your creative work with more meaning, a greater purpose, which will help you guide through the challenging times. Number two, when appropriate, fight for autonomy, by which I mean choice, not necessarily independence, in what you do, when you do it, how you do it, and who you do it with. Number three, make mastery a primary focus. What's more rewarding than seeing yourself improve in your craft? As far as I'm concerned, I think that number one is probably the most beneficial, because when you feel like your work has a purpose or a meaning or some sort of deep thing going on, like you feel like it's more important. So you tend to take it a bit more serious, or you take it with a bit more reverence. You know, you really want to do it and you want to do it well. Number two, it says fight for autonomy. Well, I've done that, you know, work for myself, you know, make my own money, that whole kind of thing. In what you do, when you do it, and how you do it. Well, that's half of the reason, because I don't have any external pressures or motivators. I find myself not being as engaged with my work as I probably should be. And three, make mastery a primary focus. Well, I think most of us, well, I don't want to say that. I was going to say, I think most of us want to be the master at what we do, but most of us are never going to be the master of, I mean, we have to be honest with ourselves about that. We can push and fight to get as far as we can go, but I mean, sometimes we're just never going to be a master. But you should never stop trying. You should always strive, I think, to be the best that you possibly can be. I'm not really sure, so, but that's what I've always been told. Strive to be the best you possibly can be. Number three, she says, set big, hairy, audacious goals. I think that is horrendous advice. I think that when you set huge goals, I mean, I think that you should set a lofty goal, but you should have a lot of smaller goals in between. Like, okay, first I'm going to record, and then I'm going to do some really cool edits with this, and then, but aside from all of the goals that you might have, personally, I think having a plan to get or to reach those goals is more important than any goal possible. You can have a million goals. I'm going to win the lottery, but let's just be honest. I don't know. I really don't know. Number four, she says, set the mood. So she says, the best time to be creative might not be when you think. If you're a morning person, it's likely late at night, when you're unfocused, calm, and in a positive mood. For night owls, the same is true in the early morning. I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is that I get up really, really early every morning. Mainly because I'm on the schedule that my girlfriend is on. You know, she gets up relatively early. I get up really early so I can spend some time with her in the morning, have some coffee, that whole kind of thing. And before her, I was a hardcore night owl. Like, I'd stay up all hours of the night. But I also find that is when I am my most creative. I think it was Ernest Hemingway that said, write while drunk, but edit while sober. And in my experience, I'm not advocating substance use or abuse, but I will say that I found that most of my creative juices were flowing when I used to drink. That is a true story. I think sometimes the best of humanity arrives whilst head is in the toilet. Now, I could be wrong. I could be giving some horrible advice, but I do think that in the confines of day-to-day reality, I think that amazing art comes from some sort of substance, whether it be alcohol, tobacco, magic mushrooms, LSD. LSD. There are a lot of amazing things that happens to the mind when it's not firing properly. And that is just a hardcore fact. Some of the best stories you have ever heard have started with some sort of, so we were going out drinking one night, right? It never started with, so we sat down to eat a salad. Most of my creativity happened at its peak when I was under the influence. Is that bad? She says on number 5 to set a schedule. I don't subscribe to that. I think that whenever you set a schedule, you force yourself to make something, even if it's not going to be any good. And I could be wrong. Some people need schedules. They need deadlines and all that kind of stuff. I think that sometimes they can be extremely helpful, useful. You can use them as a tool, as a rough guide, but I wouldn't set a schedule on creativity. Maybe to work on your creativity. Let's just say you've already shot, you've already videoed, you've already painted. Now it's time to do the touch-ups. It's time to work in Lightroom or whatever. Yeah, go ahead and set yourself a schedule. But if you have to force yourself to be creative, I seriously call into question the quality of that work. Number 6, she says, stay creatively fueled. This may be, she says, this one may be a tough one to swallow, but the best fuel for creativity is discomfort. Okay, I'm still with you. The easiest way to churn out some of that work over and over is to get comfortable with your abilities and techniques. Harnessing your uncertainty can fuel your brilliance. Conflict can be a hidden resource for inciting innovation, expanding your worldview through authentic multicultural experiences, blah, blah, blah. I don't think any of that. No, I think creativity has very, very little to do with how much interaction you have multiculturally or whatever. I don't think it has anything to do with that. What I do think creativity is fueled by is adversity, conflict, struggle, maybe sorrow, sometimes happiness. You can make happy things. But I think that the human condition, it tends to be pretty even kill most of the time. You know, it's not high, it's not low, it's pretty even kill. So extreme happiness like wedding photos, birthdays, you know, stuff like that, happy moments. Your entire life, the entire thing is a series of highs and lows. Your entire life. And those are the things that you remember. Those are the things that affect you the most. Those are the things you should remember and use as your creative fuel. My opinion, I could be wrong. Take it with a couple of pinches of salt. Number 7, she says, stay accountable. Never underestimate the power of the buddy system. I'm not hooking up with a buddy to stay creative. I do think that sometimes being around other creative people can help juice things up, and you get to share ideas, and you're like, hey, let's do this, or hey, let's try that. I think that those kind of situations are really good, but I'm not going to stay accountable myself to go, all right, man, make sure you call me and wake me up, or hey, man, make sure you stay on me if I'm not working on that project. I'm not doing that. But I do think that it is an extremely good thing for people to congregate, just like church. I want to go to creative church, and I want to interact and get reinforcement and positive feedback. Not necessarily, just feedback. I don't want someone to kiss my ass. But yeah, to bounce ideas off one another. I think that that's a very helpful way to go about not only being creative, but finding new ways to do different things, gaining new perspectives on old ideas. Number 8, procrastination, just say no. I think that is a whole lot easier said than done. Just like she says also that, well, understanding the science of procrastination may help you overcome it. Psychologists believe that procrastination has everything to do with mood. We delay starting a task to avoid the negative feelings of anxiety or worry associated with the challenge. I don't find that to be true whatsoever. What I find the most difficult with my procrastination is a lot of times I feel like whatever I'm about to create, someone else has probably already done it, and people are probably tired of seeing it or hearing about it, you know? So why even put in the effort? I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but that's pretty much how I feel about it. Number 9, she says, persevere. Persevere, yeah. I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm still alive today, so, you know, you keep persevering. You know, you didn't let it stop you completely, I guess. But she says that recognize that all disappointments and frustration are inevitable. Hopefully, you've already been inspired. You know, the thing of it is that perseverance is a very relative term. And I don't necessarily think that persevering in a project has 100% to do with creativity as a whole. One project, you know, if it sucks, if the one project, I mean, if it's just garbage, I mean, if you're getting paid for it, do it, you know, make some money and then go do something that you really enjoy. But if it's just solely on a project, don't persevere. If it just absolutely sucks, if you go, oh man, I've got an idea, and it sounds really good in your head the first 5 or so minutes, and then you really start digging down in the details, it goes, oh man, this is just trash. Don't persevere. Don't waste your time on something that is just, you know, not going to be worth the time or the effort. I mean, again, my personal opinion, I could be completely wrong, but I think that a lot of times we spend a lot of time on a dead-end project. We try to force a result even though it is just absolutely not even worth dealing with. So, again, that's my take on all of it. So those are the 9 steps to staying motivated and my opinions thereof. So I would love to hear what you guys think, how you all happen to stay motivated, if you even feel like it is worth staying motivated sometimes. I do want to say that I don't think that we should be the society that we are when it's just always go, 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 do, produce, create. I mean, if that is your whole goal, is just to have something done at the end of the day, if you don't take any time to stop, do some self-reflection, be a help to yourself to heal the mind, the body, the soul, the whole thing. If you don't do those things, you're going to burn out. You're going to hate what you do, especially if you force yourself to do it. You know, if you've ever been at a job that you absolutely couldn't stand, if you had to get up and you had to do it every single day and it wasn't what you wanted to do, you know how much you hated it and how much you just couldn't wait to quit or get fired. Man, I hope I do something today. I hope I get fired. So, sometimes I think that staying motivated is exactly the wrong thing to do. Sometimes you have to just go out in the middle of nowhere, take a couple of deep breaths, and do absolutely nothing for the day. And that's what I think about staying motivated. So let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.